Well, good morning. It's 3 days before Christmas. Not that that sort of thing gets me excited, but I have got my hat on and that makes me excited because it means it's cold, it's cool, it's been frosty, as it should be this time of year, so it feels seasonal. It feels nice, it feels seasonal. I am in Perthshire today, which isn't half as dodgy as it sounds given I stay in Fife. We are of course still in the grips of this sodding pandemic, and you are of course not supposed to leave your local authority for anything other than essential purposes, and that does include, as I said before, recreation. And you can go outside of your local authority if you're in tier 3 or tier 4, which we are, up to around 5 miles outside to start your walk, which is what I have done. So I've come actually to the same car park that I was at in Dunning Hill for the last blog, which is around 5 miles outside of Fife in Kinrossshire, and I've walked up the road again on the Dunning Road. This is my new playground, my new favourite playground, this part of the Ochils, and then the start of the walk off the road is actually Perthshire proper, so that's where I've come. The walk I've got planned today comes through, firstly through this feature that I'm in now called Corb Glen, and then it joins an old drove road actually called Cadgers Yett, and then it climbs back south towards another glen called Borland Glen, and then I'm doubling back to come over a few modest hills: White Creek Hill, Sims Hill, Johns Hill, Land Hill. So it's actually a short round today, but I'm taking my time, want to enjoy myself. This little feature is another one like with Glencoy a few weeks ago, that cleft through the Ochils in that part of Kinross. This is another one that I just found through looking at maps during lockdown, just sort of perusing maps, thinking, where can I go that's different and close to home? And these are some of these glens that are really striking features on the map. So it's quite nice. I've been looking for these any sort of narrow defiles, any odd features. This is actually, I think this is a core path, so it's a well-used path. It's well used by people. It's quite popular, but I wasn't aware of it. That's the great thing, isn't it, about discovering new places on your doorstep. Oh, no, it's not going to go. I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Oh, God. It's all I seem to do on these walks is climb over fences. The joy of today, of course, is the fact that it is sunny. And I was actually so excited about getting out this morning because the last sunny day we had like this, with a sky like this, was when I was up on the Dunning Hill, and that was what, 3rd of December, 19 days ago, almost 3 weeks without a sunny day, in my part of the world anyway. It's been so grey, it's been the dullest December I can ever remember. It's just been so grey. So to get out today was a joy, but it's ironic, I suppose, that I end up picking features where there's no sun. But it's fine because the sky is blue, so even though I'm not in the sunshine, the fact that I know it's there and it looks bright, it makes all the difference. But anyway, we are about to get out into the sunlight. Oh, here it comes. What a moment. First time in almost 3 weeks. It's nice. And just see over there, don't know if it's going to pick it out, there is something with snow on that over there. It's just galling, isn't it, that you can't actually get to it. It's so close, you can't touch. This path actually goes down to a farm down here, and then it crosses the burn and kind of doubles back and comes up the side here, but so don't need to go all the way down there, just need to try and get across here somewhere. So I think this is about as far as I'll go. Just need to work my way across and then join the path which picks up over here and goes up into the sun and over the top. And these are the hills that we're going to be coming up on shortly. We're going to sort of go up and round the back of them and then back up. So yeah, they're not huge, it's not a big walk, but it's nice to be taking time. Frankly, it's nice to be out away from the news and everything else. Everything's gone nuts, of course. The whole of the UK is cut off. There's no trade going out. Food's running out. Broccoli, we're running out of broccoli. And cauliflower and lettuce. Oh my God. So it's nice to have a break from the news, actually. Just get out and just, the hills are still here. There's still sanity to be found out here, if nowhere else. It's an interesting landscape, isn't it? I mean, it's all glacial, isn't it? Meltwater channels and things like that. But even so, it feels much sort of bigger and grander and more befitting of somewhere up north than it does in this sort of tiny southeastern corner of Perthshire, right next to Kinross. You know, this is the theme in recent blogs, I suppose, isn't it? Just my surprise at having found impressive features like this right on my doorstep. And again, you wouldn't have seen this if I stayed on the path and gone down to the path and then doubled back. You wouldn't have seen it. You never see it. There's nothing wrong with being curious. You know, when you see sort of a shadow, a long shadow sort of off to your left or something where there's clearly some sort of defile or gorge or meltwater channel like this. Go and have a look. Super. And happily not in spate. Although clearly, given all the debris everywhere, it has been recently. Up we go, back into the sunlight, hopefully. God, everywhere's so wet underfoot. The ground's utterly soaked, completely waterlogged. Today, not only is it the first sunny day since the 3rd of December, it's actually the first day there's nothing forecast to be falling from the sky since the 2nd of December. My weather station has been very active for the last 3 weeks. The rain gauge has been working overtime. Not always a lot of rain, 4 or 5 millimetres a day, which is enough to make it miserable outside, but it has been relentless wet rain every day. That's why you need days like this, isn't it? There we go. Terra firma. I'm not going to get into the great wind farm debate. You know, it's an old. No one wants to rehash that necessarily. But whatever you think of them, whether you don't like them or whether you do like them, and especially whether you do like them, I imagine they do. I mean, there's no denying they do alter the landscape. I mean, our landscapes are not natural anyway, so you know it's too much of a reach to say, oh, you've desecrated some beautiful natural environment, because that's not true. Blatantly not true. Look at it. There's not a tree. There's hardly a tree in sight apart from plantations. It's grazed to buggery, but even so, I mean, this isn't a normal place that I'd go walking. I can't remember the last time I went walking near a wind farm, just because I want natural things, I suppose. I don't really have so much of a problem with wind farms as I used to. You know, they are part of the energy mix now, and they are needed. But anyone who tells you that they don't make noise either is talking out their arse. Because if you can hear that, it sounds like fireworks going off. But there's always this background roar. And when I was down at the road, actually, you know, several kilometres away, I thought it was a burn nearby. It was that loud. So they do have an impact. You know, whatever you think, they do have an impact on the landscape. They do change it, for better or for worse. Personally, I don't really enjoy walking near them because it doesn't feel like it's a natural environment to me, despite the caveat I said about how this isn't a natural environment anyway. I'm talking myself into a corner here, but anyway, you get the idea. I don't generally walk around wind farms. But after this, after we get past over the hump, then there should be sort of behind, my back should be to them. But on a sunny day, I don't mind so much. It's like snow. A lot of things just look better in the sun. Anyway, enough blethering about that. What can we see? Well, tucked down there, way down there, those buildings, that's Ochils, down in Persia that way. And we're looking even further up that way to Fife, nestling below Ben Honzi. So it's quite an expansive view from up here. Well, this is a gate, obviously. This is the high point on this path. This is quite an old path, actually, an old route, drover's route. One of the ones that Scotways, if you go onto their website, they refer to it one of their heritage paths. It's got historic significance. It's a drover's route that connects Ochils with Dollar, which is way down there. If you go further down here, you're going down into Borland Glen, and then that comes out very quickly at Glendevon, at the Tormorkin Inn. And then you just cross over the road there, and then you cut through the hills and you come out at just above Castle Campbell at Dollar. Cuts right through the Ochils. It's a beautiful route, actually. It's really nice high route. And the name it's been given is Cadgers Yett. And a yett is, I think it's a pass or a gate. So I don't know whether it refers to this as being the sort of the cleft that gets you across the hills, or whether it referred to an actual gate, I don't know. But it's a word that you find quite a lot, like the Yett's a mucket. Scotway's take on it is that a cadger was a wandering tradesman who would just wander from place to place and was doing jobs along the way, and apparently they were quite valued members of society, cadgers. And supposedly, like a lot of people, I suppose, resented paying tolls, and there were a couple of tolls down that way, and is it the A823 that cuts through Glendevon? There was a toll there, apparently. So using this route, Scotways say, would make sense between Ochils and Dollar as a means of avoiding the tolls and actually being able to make money at the same time, but actually doing jobs for people. So that's quite interesting, the stuff that went on here. But it was a drover's route, so cattle and sheep going between markets over these hills. Odd noise, eh? That's someone dropping bombs. I happily seem to have lost the wind down here. It's not nearly as windy and cold. Oh, it's like another world this side of the hill. Can you imagine living next to that? I've seen a few go up, especially down by Elvenfoot, down that way in is that Ayrshire or Lanarkshire? Lanarkshire? Down near the M74, the Clyde wind farm, and a few of those were put up really close to farmsteads. And you must think, God, I'd have to move. I mean, it might just need oiling. It might be all it is. But who'd you get on the blower to sort of, excuse me, can you come and oil our wind turbine, please? God, that would drive me mental. Lovely quiet walk in the countryside. Yeah, not my cup of tea. For recreation anyway, I'll just stay clear of them. And same way I don't go walking through industrial estates. Just don't want to walk through an industrial development for my downtime. And yet, you know, there's a lot of good comes from them in terms of outdoor education, money. You look at Whiteley's wind farm near Glasgow, all the trails they've got set up there, all the education, all the peat restoration, and there's a lot of good stuff goes on there. Ranger service, and they're not the only wind farm with a ranger service either, actually. So it's quite a good model if you can make it work, and actually, and especially if, I'm biased of course, but especially for a ranger service, funding going down the toilet, obviously local authorities haven't got any money, so you need to find other innovative ways of getting funding. So it's not surprising you are getting a few wind farms now with their own ranger services. Ooh, look over there, way over there, in the sun. That's in the Dooney there, that's the highest point in Kinross, where I was just a few weeks ago for the last vlog. You see the trig point just on top. Like as I was saying when I was going up it, you can see how heavily forested it is, and there is barely any of it sort of sticking free of the forest at the top. But it's an amazing viewpoint. This is opening up nicely now. Being able to see further south into Borland Glen, see where the drove road, how it sort of goes into the distance, dips into Glendevon, which is just in there, and then it cuts through to Dollar on the other side. Alright, well what I'm planning on doing is going all the way along the path, and there's a sort of path that comes down, and then it's coming up this hill up White Creek, which is just short of a 200 metre ascent, and then heading all the way along here, skirting around the forest and coming over, is it Sims Hill or John's Hill, whichever one that is, not sure. There's that one, then there's another one, and Lamb Hill, so that's the plan. Ooh, there's a couple of Scots pine stuck up here all by themselves. On one hand it's nice to see, on the other hand it's sad, isn't it? Actually I hope this deer fence isn't going to be a problem, because it goes all the way along and it's very high. I'd like to assume they put some gates in somewhere. Well, there is a gate, but will it be unlocked? That's the question. This is the first time I've actually walked in this section of the Ochils between the Glendevon Road and the Dunning Road. I don't think I've ever set foot on any hills in this section before, and it's really, really enjoyable. Peculiar at times with stuff behind you, but interesting. Having a nice time. And there we are, practically at Glendevon, or we're not going that far, that's it. Just nestling down there. The A823 is down there, it runs left to right. This is Inner Downey, part of the Glen Sherrip Horseshoe, and if you were going all the way through to Dollar, you sort of come up and then you go through there. It's like a cleft with another reservoir up there. It's not even 1 o'clock, it's 10 to 1. It already feels so late, doesn't it, the light? Ooh. I'm wondering what the canes are for. People put canes or orange netting on fences so that birds don't strike the fence, so that birds actually can see it. I don't know what sort of birds they're protecting against here, but certainly further up north and into Perthshire you have black grouse, red grouse even, ptarmigan, stuff like that. Right, is it unlocked? This project receives funding under the Forestry Commission grant scheme. Scotland's woodlands and forests are a vital national resource, blah de blah de blah de blah de blah. White Creek Hill. The woodland here has been planted to grow both a timber crop and to protect and enhance the environment with native broadleaves. Design of the woodland's been taken into account sensitive features such as the burn and the archaeology, with the latter being left unplanted. Broadleaves along the sides of the burn will stabilise the slopes and provide important habitat, while the woodland as a whole will help slow down water runoff. Fencing is required to keep deer out, which is why they're so high, which would otherwise eat the young trees. The fence has been marked with bamboo canes to make it more visible to black grouse in the area so they can avoid it. I didn't know we had black grouse around here, so that's good to know. The ground's been prepared using scarifying, mounding and screefing, which are low impact forms of preparation to minimise carbon release. Preparation is required to help the trees get off to a good start. The conifers will be grown for around 50 years before being felled, to be used for construction, pallets, fencing and other products. Locking away carbon for decades to come, the broadleaves will remain a permanent feature. So yeah, all good stuff. Stabilising slopes, rewooding, as some people would say rewilding. The upper reaches of this glen, it's all good stuff. Although, I don't think this is... I don't think I can get through. I think they've locked this, which in access terms is very bad. Very, very bad. Because where you're supposed to get through, I can't see any other means of getting in, so I'm going to have to climb over this. Not a fan of climbing over things if I can help it, but landowners can help themselves by facilitating access. I know this isn't exactly a popular spot for walking, but even so, you don't go locking gates. Yeah, completely locked. Very disappointing, because I can't see any other way in. Bit of a downer on the day. Anyway, we're in. Can we get out again? I was going to say I couldn't actually see anything planted, but there you go, there's broadleaf stuff there. There is stuff in here that has been planted. There's some way to get over. Yeah, lots of trees in here. You can see now that I'm getting my eye in, there's plenty of trees in here, which is why they've got vole guards on them to stop voles eating them, but you don't have massive great big plastic tubes on them because you've fenced it all off. That's a dilemma anyone has in planting, thinking you don't really want to, ideally you don't want to use fences. It's easier though just to put a fence around something. The tubes is very labour intensive, but it does at least mean you don't have to exclude herbivores, which sometimes you want. Anyway, these look quite recent that these have gone in, so they're all obvious enough for me to avoid, thankfully. God, I can't imagine anyone comes in here. Anyway, now up there. Do you know what? The thing is, there's a handy boulder. First I've seen. Lunch, tea, cake. Ah, it's nice, eh? Cheers. Today's walk has been brought to you with the power of homemade fruitcake. So good. Right, well, I'm not going to linger because you can see there's already cloud piling in onto the higher Ochils, so I don't know if whether it's going to rush in quickly or not. Best crack on. It's only small, 400 and something metres, but it's rough ground and it's steep. Can't complain. It's like all the other walks I've had to do locally. It's a wonderful substitute, all this rough ground, for more demanding hills, bigger hills farther north. I get a sense that we're almost there. Come on. Quite an inauspicious summit really, but it's nice. Bit of everything. Right, well, while we've got the view, that over there is Lendrick Hill, where I was up for sunset a few weeks ago, having just gone through Glencoy, which is this cleft. You wouldn't have any inkling if you saw the two blogs ago Glencoy, you would never have any inkling that it's there, like a 2-3 kilometre long narrow defile, but in an almost perfect straight line. It's completely hidden from up here. It's amazing. Lochleven, just peeping over the top over there. Bishop Hill, just peering over the top, and Innerdooney over there. And you can see how much cloud is piling in. Thick layer of cloud, stubborn clouds sat over Ben Clwch really. Ben Clwch will be in that, the highest point in the Ochils. That's Ben Shee on the Glen Sherrip Horseshoe, that little notch in the foreground. No real sense just now that that's going to come over this way. The wind seems to be going right to left, and there's plenty of blue sky left out above us, thankfully. Right, now I'm guessing, hoping, that this gate down here is going to get onto a track which goes the other side of the fence and takes us towards Sims Hill, which is over here. That's the plan anyway. Let's see if it pans out. See if this one's locked as well. Well, you're going to get sick of me saying it, I know, from all the walks I'm doing around here, but it does feel, I mean, this, just the way this looks, it doesn't feel like it's a stone's throw from Fife. I know I compare it to places in Argyll or Dumfries and Galloway and places like that, but it feels different to that as well, because it's got our sort of distinctive shaped hills, modest hills, but forested. And as much as I don't really like plantations of this type, I actually quite like having forest this size so close to home. I really like it. I really like it around here. I've never walked here before. This is completely new for me. Much to my shame. I mean, I've stayed in Fife now for over 10 years, and this is so close to home. It's madness, eh? It feels like, you know, when you move somewhere, like when I moved to Fife for the first time, or at all, you know, it's quite nice having a whole new place, a whole new county to explore. And after 10 years, I don't know half of it really. But I did sort of feel, in terms of hilly places, I'd sort of done all the exploring I was likely to do. So this is really nice to, you know, feel like I've actually discovered something new at home. Okay, place your bets. We reckon? I'm not hopeful. No, it's locked. It's locked. I just can't see any reason for it, really. I mean, maybe they're trying to protect and stop the trees from getting trampled, I don't know, but this is a notable hill that people probably seeing them at like I did and thinking, well, I'm going to go over that and include it in my walk today. And I know you do have to adjust your walk to some extent when you find that things on the ground are a bit different to how you expect they are, but if you're a land manager, you should be taking access into account. You should be, you know, you should know people that probably come up here. Not many, but it doesn't take much, you know, just to put in a style or something, and then it's there for 10 years or whatever. It's very disappointing. Right, I'm gonna have to get over it now. I mean, that's the thing. You can climb over stuff. You know, you are allowed to do that. You know, access rights in Scotland. You can climb over stuff. You just mustn't damage anything. You know, so the onus is on the landowner to facilitate access, but then the onus is on you not to damage any sort of provisions or access provisions they put in. And if there are any provisions, you're supposed to try and get over as easily and as sensitively as you can, which generally means not climbing up wire, and trying to use straining posts where you can. And when you're using a gate, if you're climbing over a gate, which are usually half the size of this, aren't they, farm gates, you climb over the hinged side rather than the side that tends to be hanging down. So there are things, there's provision in access rights for getting through over obstacles like this. Even so, I don't like climbing over deer fences this big. Right, bugger. First, post poles through the hole. That's me committed now. You know what a pain in the arse this is? Ow! Fuck. Okay, this seems like a sensible place. Using this, climbing over that, and actually then you've got the... See, there's the wood here, the other fence. Seems sensible. Oh. Damn it. Get the sense. There might be a forest track through here. My spidey sense is tingling. Bingo! And it feels nice to be free walking again. Something I'm dying to go and look at over there. It looks like a marooned vehicle. It's kind of on my way, so I think we'll go and take a look. Figure out a way to get down. More fences. Ah, there we go. That'll do. Horrible stuff that's been felled gives way under your feet. Very careful. Okay, open hill again. That way. Just about to get the sun back. Go. Glorious, but very squelchy. Bugger. Oh God, it's so odd. It's so odd. I mean, but part of me sort of hates seeing stuff like this because it's, you know, it's a wreck in the hills. It's mess. But at the same time, it's novel, it's interesting, and I don't know, it's almost when you see, I've found quite a few vehicles actually over the years stuck in forests. Some of them really old, like, you know, maybe 30s or 40s, from the 30s or 40s. Other things, I mean, I saw a few in Aberdeenshire in a forest last year or the year before. You don't want to see them in a forest like that, but somehow they almost turn into art installations. What, you know, so it always makes you think, at what point does litter become, you know, sort of archaeology interesting? And this certainly is. This is, in a way, especially when it's sort of perched on a plinth, on a grassy plinth. It's intriguing. It's almost like it's been placed here as a showpiece or something. I quite like it. Although, you know, you wish it wasn't here, but I quite like it. Suzuki. Bizarre. Thing is though, it's like some of the air wreckage, the planes that you find in the hills. It's like that one that I went up to in Cowell that time, that, you know, the one that crashed in 1947. And some of the metal and some of the cables looked like they were dropped yesterday because, you know, it's so cold up here and it's so wet, and things don't rot down as quick. I mean, it's probably been here a long time, but it doesn't look it really, does it? It's who knows? I'll go look it up now when I get home. Anyway, it is 2:25 Top of the hill's just up there, and then there's one more hill to do after that. And the light's running out actually, and the clouds coming in, so best push on. I think coming across things like that, it just reinforces that sense that you're somewhere a bit odd, a bit different, off the beaten track. Okay, now this is the last hill, John's Hill, with Lamb Hill just on down there, just the last one, and then down here, and the car park is literally where that house is, just behind that house. massive views up here. I mean, I don't know if you'll pick it up on the camera, you can see all the way to Dundee over there, over Glenfarg. Just sticking up over the hill, over there is Perth. I can see the Bass Rock and Berwick Law in the distance over there. The Lammermuirs in the distance, the Moorfoots. The Pentlands are over there, the faint outline way in the distance, and then coming through here, the Firth of Forth, going up towards Grangemouth and that. With this lovely, lovely view as the light is fading. We're about to lose the rest of the sun by the looks of it. It's about to dip behind all that cloud, but it's really nice up here at the end of the day. Not even 3 o'clock, but it feels like the end of the day. It's beautiful. Ooh. It's a bit of a cruel way to finish with a descent like this, with an ascent after it, but in substitute of a big day on the hills, needs must. Oh, winter's very much hanging on down here. It's very still, cold and quiet. Last bit of effort, last bit of up on what are really quite little hills, but it's hard going. I do wonder, maybe it's probably the same for a lot of us, out of practice for hills after having them off bounds for such a long time. So nice to be out on a sunny, dry, cold day. Well, this appears to be the flattest, highest point on John's Hill. And there's nothing to mark it actually. I was expecting at least a little pile of rocks or something. But I think it may probably just goes to show that these are quite infrequented hills really, the fact that there's nothing here, but that doesn't make it any less enjoyable. It's wonderful. It's getting cold as well. I'm not going to linger up here, I'm going to head straight down I think. But another really enjoyable walk on my doorstep in a part of the country I'd never walked in before, never been here before, never really considered coming here before. So yet another surprise. And as has been the case with the previous 2 walks I've done in this part over the last month or so, and it's certainly the case of this one, I have seen no one. No one. I mean, it's great for social distancing, and it's just great from a hill walking sense. There's no one here. It's wonderful. Just the way I like it. Great. Time to head back. See you next time.